Mercedes-Benz. This brand traces its roots back to Carl Benz, who built what is widely considered the first practical automobile in the late 1800s. Based in Stuttgart, Mercedes-Benz grew into a symbol of engineering precision and comfort, favored by executives, diplomats, and anyone who wanted a car that felt solid from the moment the door closed. Over the decades, it built a reputation for pioneering safety features, from crumple zones to early airbag systems, long before these became industry standards. What sets it apart today is a blend of luxury and innovation, with a lineup that spans compact sedans to flagship S-Class models. Its three-pointed star has become shorthand for status, but the deeper story is one of a company that treated the car as a piece of serious engineering rather than just transportation. BMW, short for Bayerische Motorenwerke, this Munich-based brand actually began by building aircraft engines during the First World War, though the logo itself actually comes from the blue and white colors of the Bavarian flag, not a propeller, as many assume. When aviation manufacturing was restricted after the war, the company shifted toward motorcycles and eventually cars, carrying over an obsession with performance that never really faded. BMW built its identity around the idea of the driver's car, tuning chassis and engines, so that handling felt sharp and responsive rather than just comfortable. The badge became closely tied to motorsport, with its racing programs feeding technology back into road cars for years. Where Mercedes leaned into refinement, BMW leaned into the feeling of control behind the wheel, and that distinction still shapes how people talk about the two brands. Audi. This brand's name actually comes from a clever bit of wordplay, since founder August Horch could no longer use his own surname after leaving his previous company, so he translated it into Latin, and Horch became Audi. The 4 rings on its badge represent a merger of 4 earlier German manufacturers during the 1930s, a history that still echoes in the brand's engineering-forward personality. Audi found its modern identity through quattro all-wheel drive technology, first proven in rally racing and later brought into everyday road cars. It positioned itself as a technology leader, often introducing features like LED lighting systems or digital cockpits before competitors caught up. Where BMW emphasizes driving feel and Mercedes emphasizes comfort, Audi has built its reputation on quiet, technical sophistication. Volkswagen. The name simply means people's car, and that origin says a lot about why the brand exists at all, since it was founded in the 1930s with the goal of producing an affordable vehicle for ordinary German families. The Beetle became its most famous early success, a car so simple and durable that it stayed in production for decades across multiple continents. Volkswagen eventually grew into one of the largest automakers in the world, expanding into vans, sedans, and SUVs, while still keeping practicality at the center of its designs. Unlike the luxury-focused German brands, it built its identity around reliability and value rather than status, though it has also produced surprising performance variants along the way. Today, it also serves as the parent company behind several other well-known German marques, giving it an outsized influence on the industry as a whole. Porsche. Founded by Ferdinand Porsche, whose engineering background actually connects to the early development of the Volkswagen Beetle, this brand carved out a very different path focused almost entirely on sports cars. The 911, introduced in the 1960s, became its defining model, instantly recognizable by its rounded shape and rear-engine layout that engineers have refined rather than abandoned over generations. Porsche built its name on the racetrack, particularly through endurance racing victories that proved its cars could handle punishment lap after lap without breaking down. Unlike brands that chase broad appeal, Porsche has stayed narrowly focused on performance and precision, even as it expanded into SUVs and electric vehicles to stay commercially competitive. Owning one has long been seen as less about status and more about genuine enthusiasm for driving. Opel. This brand started out making sewing machines and bicycles before shifting into automobiles in the early 20th century, eventually becoming one of Germany's most recognizable mass-market car makers. For much of its history, Opel operated under General Motors ownership, which shaped it into a practical, everyday brand rather than a luxury one. Its cars were common sights on European roads, known more for affordability and dependable engineering than for flashy design or motorsport glory. Ownership changed again in recent years when Opel moved under the Stellantis group, folding it into a wider family of European car brands. Compared to its more prestigious countrymen, Opel represents the quieter, working-class side of German automotive history. Smart. Born from a partnership between Mercedes-Benz and the Swiss watchmaker Swatch, this brand was built around a single radical idea that a car could be small enough to slot sideways into a parking space and still keep its driver safe. The original Fort Wu model became an unmistakable symbol of urban minimalism, prioritizing maneuverability over space or power. Smart never tried to compete on performance or luxury, instead carving out a niche among city dwellers who valued efficiency and ease of parking above all else. In more recent years, the brand shifted its focus toward electric vehicles, aligning its size-conscious philosophy with the broader push toward sustainable city transport. It remains one of the more unusual experiments in German automotive history, born from a mix of engineering pragmatism and lifestyle branding. Maybach. Originally an independent luxury manufacturer founded by Wilhelm Maybach, an engineer closely tied to the early Mercedes-Benz story, this brand built ultra-exclusive vehicles for Europe's wealthiest buyers before fading out around the mid-20th century. Mercedes-Benz revived the name decades later as a standalone ultra-luxury mark, aiming to compete with the most exclusive names in the industry. Eventually, rather than existing as a separate brand, Maybach was folded back in as the top trim level within the Mercedes-Benz lineup itself, reserved for the most opulent versions of its flagship cars. What makes it distinct is less about engineering innovation and more about exclusivity, hand-finished interiors, and a badge that signals the very top of the price ladder. Its history reflects how luxury branding can rise, disappear, and return in a different form depending on market demand. Alpina. Unlike most names on this list, Alpina did not start as a car manufacturer at all, but as a maker of typewriters and later carburetors before shifting its focus to modifying BMW vehicles. Over time, it evolved into an official BMW partner, rather than a mere aftermarket tuner, gaining the rare status of being recognized as its own manufacturer under German law. Alpina takes BMW's platforms and reworks them with a focus on refined power delivery and understated design, avoiding the aggressive styling often associated with performance tuning. Its cars tend to appeal to buyers who want serious speed without shouting about it, favoring subtlety over spoilers and body kits. This quiet, craftsmanship-driven approach has made Alpina a respected name among enthusiasts who know where to look. Roof. Based in the small town of Pfaffenhausen, Roof takes Porsche vehicles, often down to a bare chassis, and rebuilds them into something distinct enough that German authorities recognize Roof as an independent manufacturer rather than a tuning shop. Founder Alois Roof built the company's reputation in the 1980s, with cars pushed to extreme top speeds, drawing attention from performance enthusiasts around the world. Every Roof vehicle carries its own chassis number, separating it legally and technically from the Porsche it originated from, even though the visual resemblance often remains strong. The brand has stayed small and specialized, producing vehicles in limited numbers for buyers who want something rarer and more extreme than what mainstream Porsche dealerships offer. Its story shows how a small workshop can carve out genuine manufacturer status through relentless focus on a single craft. Thanks for watching.